Like, it was a fucking ball.
Yeah.
And they came in when we started and they showed me a fucking peacock.
No, they didn't.
And they were like, we've seen it. And I was like, are you just fuck off? Just fuck off with that. What a stupid question to ask me.
Welcome everybody to another Outside Crowd podcast. We're here with William.
Woo!
We're here with Ryan.
Yo! Skibbity-beep-ba.
And what we're going to talk about today is how you can program, how you can make your jobs come in on time and finish on time. Because I've spoken to lots of people, and they always just say the same thing, is that jobs, do they run late? Oh, yeah, they usually do. Don't usually finish them on time. So if they don't finish on time, you could potentially have a big financial problem. So what can you do that's actually going to make your job, put some systems in place that will actually make your jobs finish on time? So I suppose the general thing is this a problem for yourself, Ryan?
Absolutely, yeah.
Is it a problem for yourself, William? I suppose it's different for you, Bill, isn't it? Because you've got slightly shorter jobs, so managing them is...
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you... Sorry to interrupt, but if you overrun, it might be... in the grand scheme of things, it's going to be by 2 hours. Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
because
it's not right, but...
we just finished doing an 8-day job. This is actually something that's quite... something I figured out recently. Normally, when we have a big job... I would normally throw everything at it and have us all there the whole time. But since me and JB had a good chat about programming work and trying to extract more money out of things, I was like, what I'm going to do is so we've got a big job on, and what we'll do is try and compress it by having as many people on it as possible, and then we're on to the next thing. But what I found is by having a smaller team on there and then another team just doing other stuff the whole time, there was a few days when we were all on it, but mainly... Yeah. I found that was far more efficient because there was things where we could be like, that's not worth doing now, or you got, instead of having one person not doing anything, you'd have 4 people not doing anything because that couldn't happen before that. But sometimes these things are not evident until you actually start doing it.
Yeah.
And it was really helpful because I had a team of 4 on it for the first couple of days. And there was no. I had thought about which way we do it, but that all sort of changed in priorities, and that really helped us stick to our 8 days. I was like, I'm going to put it over 8 days, and I know how many people we can have to that. But if we do all of these jobs alongside it, we're making more, above what we would normally make anyway, which is really great. But longing it out, for one of a better saying.
I'm glad you laughed. I'm glad you laughed.
Longing it out. So yeah, making that. I mean, it's not going to work for everything, but I just found that really helpful. Sometimes with tree work, things change, and also customers say, "Oh, can you do this as well?"
because that's another thing.
There was less wastage. That's what I would say.
I mean, the biggest thing you can have there's so many things on productivity, but one of the worst things you can do is if you're behind and you're trying to catch up with a job, is throwing labour at it because
it's just a waste of money.
It doesn't work because you get inefficiencies, you get overcrowding, you need to have a lot more management and supervisory time to keep them all on track. You've got to coordinate different subcontractors, and it doesn't work. Clients want to go, oh, we're behind, you haven't got enough labour on it. And what you usually find is you have got the right amount of labour, but you're behind, and if you put too much on, it doesn't do anything. And that was borne out. There was something used to be called, the Dundee Report, came out in about 90... something, but 96, 97, commissioned by Drake and Skull, and they went into all these factors affecting labour productivity, and that was a major one. So, but anyway, going back with things like jobs, how do you find? Do you find getting the job to finish on time is a big challenge?
It is a challenge. It definitely is a challenge, and over the years, there's lots of learning. I mean, and the thing is, some wise old bat told me once, you only learn from the bad jobs, not the good ones. So yeah, you did, yeah. So I was supposed
So
to
I
say
said,
wise
"You
old
never
owl.
called
I
me,
was supposed to say wise old owl. It didn't come out like that.
I was
Better than what you usually call me.
old lady.
But yeah, I think that there is learning to be done, and I think that it's the jobs being bigger, things do very easily get away from you, where you think, right, we got time on this, let's get this done, let's crack on, and then suddenly you find yourself when you're trying to finish a project where you're in the final stages and the finishing work, you find that you're like, right guys, we've got to go, and it is an interesting one, and we do struggle against it. So there's a couple of things, whether it's estimating times, so having a look at the timesheets and the timesheet summary to see if it's the estimating, or if it's something changed on the job. An example we used today was the digger not turning up on time, or the digger breaking and having to have the machine swapped over. So there, if you've got a 5-day dig out and that digger's not there, for half a day, it actually messes up a day, because by the time you get back on track, it definitely changes it. So I mean, in recent weeks or days, changing the timesheets so we can allocate the time that the chaps are spending on site on the quoted work, so we can see if there's anything that hasn't been quoted for our own records, as well as the variations. If something, the teams are doing something that I haven't seen and it's been overseen, you can see it on the timesheets. Have a look and go, we spent a day moving all the pots off the moving all the pots off the patio, and it's like, well, actually, do you know what, were they there before when we started, when we quoted the job, or is that something that I didn't give enough time to, or it's something like that. So it's having that information, because it's something that it does, we do our utmost, do our best, of course, but and it doesn't matter if we run over or not, the job is always done right. But it's to get bigger and to be able to put new kit into the company and expand as a company is something that definitely has got to be looked at.
Yeah, because I think the thing, isn't it, as jobs get bigger, you have to be more effective in managing them, because otherwise the risk that you have, I mean, there's more reward potentially, but there's more risk if it goes wrong. I mean, we had that discussion today about, like, if you had. Because sometimes, if you overrun, then you're going to have things like labour costs, and you might not have extra material costs, whatever. But the big thing it hits is your overheads. So if you've got, say, your overheads run at, say, like £1,500 a month, if you've got that over 12 months, if you've got a job that's going to last 4 weeks, it means within your bid, you've got to have £1,500. That's the proportion of overheads you've got to earn that month.
Yeah.
And then you earn £1,500 for all the rest of the months. If you're 4 weeks late, all you've earned is £1,500 now over 8 weeks, over 2 months.
Yeah.
So what that's doing then is, so when you come to price your next job, instead of pricing your jobs with your overheads at £1,500, my math's right, you should have to be pricing them at £1,650 to recover the £1,500 that you didn't earn in the month because of that delay.
Yeah.
So this is where the problem gets bigger and bigger, and you have to be on top of it. And I think one thing I like with your sort of estimating system you've got, Ryan, is the fact that the first thing is you break the jobs down into the various components. So say, for example, if you're doing a patio, you've got that excavation stuff first of all, so you know how long you've allowed for that. Then you'll know how long you've got for doing, like, putting in the the MOT, putting up to when you're going to put the slabs on. Then you've got the slabs, and then might have the grouting and the ceiling. So you've got distinct times against distinct activities.
Yeah.
Because then if you've got that, then you've broken that job down into smaller chunks. You can then monitor each smaller chunk and make sure you finish that on time. So if the first bit, the excavation, is going to take a week, you can then say, right, boys, this is what we've got to do. We've got to get this excavation works done within these 5 days. And this is where also it could tie in on, on a previous podcast, we talked about bonuses. This is where you could tie this stuff into your, like, bonus work.
Yeah.
If you've said, right, we've got 5 days to complete this task, but if you got it done in 4 days, you get an extra such and such, because you know that you're saving money. You're you'll be over recovering. You know, you'll be earning extra overheads effectively because you're getting all that money back in a short period of time.
Yeah.
So there's things like that you can do, but it's like breaking it down into smaller chunks and monitoring each chunk and making sure at the end of each week you've hit that milestone. And I think that's what I think a lot of people don't do. They take it as a big job.
That's interesting.
And just monitoring it as a big job.
And I think, I put my hand up to say that's something that I did do in the past and probably still am doing in some cases, it is.
Yeah, but you know what you know
Yeah,
about that, don't you?
no,
Break
I
things
do.
down into bits. Things
Yeah, but it is. I think it's something that, it's definitely easy to be done. You've got this job and this is what it is, and suddenly it creeps and suddenly you think, oh, your time is, there isn't much time in it, and it's, it takes the fun out of it. It does. It takes the fun out of it, not knowing where you're at on something, and having that stress put on you because, like you said, the overheads are always going to be there. They're always, you're going to have to pay them regardless.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's interesting. Got to keep on top of it.
Yeah. Do you most of your? I suppose if once you start getting either sort of like bigger work, and I suppose also you still have some quite big jobs anyway, Bill, don't you?
Yeah.
Which go on long periods of time.
Yeah.
But if you start getting in commercial projects as well, then do you think that's going to start changing your planning for work?
You'll
Going
have
forward?
to, won't it? I think from what I gather, a lot of the contracting work is done on like day rates. So like, there's several different types. I mean, like on the railways, you get paid per mile. So, and that's really tricky as well because
You'd be on the side of the train, wouldn't you?
yeah, or,
And as you went,
Saw out the window.
you get paid per mile, but sometimes that mile could be full of fucking massive trees, or
Yeah.
sometimes it's full of just like brambles and that.
yeah.
So like you could be a bit, but so I think that's
that's fair, that's
so
true.
that's very much performance based.
Yeah, because a lot of like say councils and local authorities want to do something where they extract as much out of you as possible, and
yeah.
if they can do that on some sort of performance basis, that's better for them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I think it will. Yeah, it will change the way I schedule things massively because I think also you're going to have a team of people. If you win a decent sized contract, even if you're subcontracting for someone who's won the large council contract or whatever contract it is, and you've got several months worth of work lined up ahead, you're going to have to change the whole scheduling system anyway.
Yeah.
It takes the pressure off, but then also you've got to think about, and we've said this before, payment terms as well, and how you schedule working around that as well.
Yeah.
Because I know now I certainly don't have enough money to be doing any sort of large contracts. I haven't got enough money in the bank to do it. I couldn't pay everyone and get paid in 90 days or whatever it is.
No.
It would be. I would have to have domestic jobs alongside it to supplement that at the moment. But obviously the goal is to have enough money so you can, you can cover those costs
Yeah.
while you're waiting for that payment to come in.
I mean, I think the other thing that I think is always important, like for particularly for contractors, is having their set of terms and conditions so that you can clearly see what is included within your quote and then what is actually going to be a change. So there's a definition of what a change or a variation is, so that you can, if someone says, no, that's not a change, you can go, well, yes, it is a change because what we allowed in our quote was for this. The definition of a change is something that, I forgot what standard sort of wording is, but you say something that affects, the progress of the works beyond the control of the contractor or whatever.
Yeah.
There's so many definitions you can have of them.
It
But
does
you've
appear
got
to
something
be, yeah.
you can you can identify, because that's the way it should be done. So you can say, look, that's what we've priced. That's the definition of a change. What you've asked us to do is this. It's different, and a lot of those changes can also be things like they're disrupting your progress. So late information. So if you've got a client who's dicking you around and not giving you, telling you what specification of slabs you need, if you have to wait and your boys are sitting on site for a couple of days, you've still got to pay them. You've still got to pay the overheads for that period of time.
Yeah.
And that then should be built into your variation. Otherwise, you're just going to be losing money. And I think too many contractors are always trying to keep clients happy. And unfortunately, it's not a case of trying to keep clients happy. It's a case of trying to make sure that you do a good job and you get paid for what you're entitled to.
I was thinking this recently, thinking it's, sometimes you're having a conversation with a client, you know, and you're trying to say, well, that, you know, we were going to do this, but you changed it to this, right? Yeah, I did. So how do you think that's not going to cost more money? You know,
Yeah.
and it's you know, it's the deadpan look you get back, and you're like, hang on a minute. You know, I was trying to think of a kind of a scenario. It's the same. I'm like, I wonder if you get a cab. You know, jump in a cab in London, and then go right, head towards there. I'll give you the address. And then you know you wait 45 minutes waiting for it, and then you go, right, can you take me here? And he charges you more, and you wonder why.
Yeah.
It's like, well, hang on a minute, you're still in the cab. Like,
at the time though, when the changes are said, do you say this is going to cost more money?
this is an extra. This is an extra. This is a.
You say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then how is there any sort of?
Honestly,
Yeah,
Tony,
I think I don't.
Trust me.
I think a lot of people, like to say, lay clients, don't understand actually what that really means. So I always think it's good practice if you're starting a job, before you start a job, is to sit down with the client and to say, look, this is what we're doing. This is what the scope of works is. This is what information we need by certain dates. If we don't get that information by those dates, then it's going to affect the progress of the works. We've got our terms and conditions, and if it delays it and we, for no fault of our own, then it is going to cost. And they're difficult conversations to have, but I would always rather have that conversation with a client at the beginning of a job, because then you can't be accused of like trying to, smoke and mirrors and trying to fleece them out of money. You're trying to just be straight and trying to say, look, we need information at certain times. If you come in and you change your mind, we don't mind doing it, but we can't incorporate that all within the job because it's going to take longer. And if it takes a week longer because you've changed your mind, that's affecting the costs of the company. It's affecting our overheads.
It also affects your scheduling.
But you've got to try and get that through to the client in a way which is friendly, approachable.
It's a bit easier for me because, like, it's sort of you can't really. In addition, someone goes, "Oh, can you do that as well?" You go, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And they know. They always. Most people will say, "I appreciate it's going to cost more money." If it's something small, we'll be like, "Yeah, we'll do that for you."
I get that. But the thing is, I think sometimes so. If it's something small, now what's the definition of something small for me?
Something that takes 10 minutes.
Understood. But yes, but from when somebody who thinks, oh, actually, I don't want that kind of detail that we spoke about, you know, you laid it out and I said yes to it, and now looking at it, I don't know if I want it. Can you change it? It's like, it's not a 10-minute job. It took us a day and a half to get in. You know, it's like, well, for that small detail at the top to marry up with that bit there, you know, the reason we did it is because the left-hand side works. Now you want it to work with the right. We have to unstrip all of this work. It's you know, it's a day and a half forward, day and a half back. You know, like a day back. So and then
that costs an awful lot.
It's a massive difference. So, and the thing is, I think that what I find as well is you know, you in your work, you're the expert. It's, you know, can you go, you know, say if they said, can you just, and they say, can you just climb to the top of that and take 500 millimeters off the top of it? You're like, you do realize I've got to climb all the way up there.
No, I know.
So
could you just sell chargeable?
But the thing is, what I mean by that is, I know it's chargeable, but they think, can you just fly up there? And you're like, do you understand? I have to have someone at the bottom tree just in case something happens. No, but no, they don't. So it's like, no. So I think that, you know, what Joe was saying about having that conversation and coming across, you know, as best you can.
Yeah, you don't want to be condescending either, do you?
No, you can't. And it's trying to come across in a way that is, hey, this is just how it is. You know, this is not, you know, we want to do a really good job we want to make it, you know, we want to be proud of all the work we do.
Yeah.
But if it changes, then there's a cost implication, and we want you to know that now before we start. Just because, and I do think that's very interesting that, you know, the moment you start going, well, there might be extras, you know, because that's what majority of people's nightmares are, where they've had a bad build or a bad landscape. They go, oh well, they came in, you know, half the price of somebody else, but didn't have anything in it. Or you want nails in your floorboards? You know, it's like, yes, you know, it's that they see as an extra. You know,
but I tell you, your point about design detailing, I think, is a really important one, because especially like if you're the contractor and you're putting your quote in, and you know, you're asked to do a patio and you put an edge on the, you know, some brick edging or something to it. And then the client comes out and goes, oh, I don't like it like that. Can you change that? And you'll go, yeah, but that's going to cost more.
Yeah.
And they go, yeah, but your quote included for brick edging. Yeah, but we designed the brick edging.
Yeah.
This is the brick edging we allowed for. You want it in a different way,
Yeah.
which is going to take longer, going to be more difficult. It's going to cost more money. And it's like, I think a lot of times clients don't realise the effect that detailed design changes have on the work and the cost.
Yeah.
And that there is a cost implication. You can't change it. It's not also you need to know about it in advance. You need to have enough time to be able to program that works in, and then you need to be able to do it, which might take longer than what you estimated for.
Yeah.
It's like just because they think you've allowed for a bit of detailing, it doesn't give them carte blanche to have exactly how they to change everything to the way they want it. There's a limits on it.
There is a limit, and I think I think that rightly so, like you said. And I think if I know it to be true, sometimes the team's on site, the client come out and say, "Oh, I'd like it like this," and the frustration of the team, and I do pull the team aside sometimes, going, "Hey, they don't know how long it's taking you to do that. It's not saying they're not saying it looks bad. They're just saying they like it like this. So no one's coming in going, you don't like your work. It's nothing like that. It's that they've seen it suddenly on Instagram or on Pinterest, wherever you get, and they've gone, oh, I'd actually like it like this. Like, well, or something. Don't even talk to me. But it's like
someone asked me once to cut a yew hedge. Right, I was just gonna. It was a fucking ball.
Yeah.
And they came in when we started, and they showed me a fucking peacock.
No, they didn't.
And they were like, "We've seen it," and I was like, "Are you just fuck off? Just fuck off with that." What a stupid question to ask me.
From your
Do you know how
friendly
long it
neighbourhood
takes to
tree
make a
surgeon.
peacock? You grow it round a fucking cage and then you prune it. And you do it over years and years and years, and half of it's wound around a trellis. Don't fucking say something like that to me.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. So exactly my point. That's my exact point. That person, if they were to say that to a family member of theirs or a friend of theirs, a good friend of theirs, and their friend slapped on the back of their head and said, "Are you freaking mad? How long that'd take?" Oh, I didn't realise it. They came out going, "Can you do this?" Thinking that would take you the same amount of time.
All it is a couple more.
But that's what the thing is genuine. That's a great example. What are you talking about? It takes years.
Yeah.
That person thought, "Oh, I just saw it." It's like, no, it's about the education. When I say education, it's about explaining to people that, hey, things do take a long time, and it's hard to have that conversation in the first instance when you start a project.
But it's vital, and I think people don't do it. And I think also, like, if you're working with a designer, that's the great time for the whole of you as a team to sit down, you design the client, to have that pre-start meeting to go through everything as well. The other thing I was sort of going to say also, to make sure that you're bringing jobs in on time is, if once you've broken your job down into the various stages, you can put that down in a little bar chart, in a Gantt chart as a program. And then what you should do at the end of each week, if say like your first milestone is you've got to complete the excavation in a week, you're there on site, say on the Friday, that last day, you go, are we going to finish it by the end of this week? Yes, no.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But they should know. But your guys on site should be able to tell you exactly. Yeah. They should say, your question as the boss, are we going to finish? If they can't tell you, then they need to kick up the arse.
Yeah.
So if they say, yeah, we will finish on time, you go, great. If not, if they say, no, it's not, why? Then they should be saying, well, because there was some stuff in the ground which we couldn't deal with. Then it raises the question, is that a variation? It's something you can get some extra money for, or is it something that you've got to deal with yourself and take on board? Because once you know that at the end of each week, and you know whether you're on program or not, that gives you a chance to effectively manage the remainder of the works effectively. Because if you know you're on program, you can then get onto the next bit effectively. If you're behind program, that's the point when you've got to go immediately deal with those issues straight away.
Yeah.
And what you can do is you can do things like you can reprogram the remaining works. You can reallocate your staff onto different jobs. You can resequence some things, but it gives you a point in time, as soon as possible, to be able to deal with that issue and that delay, and then to try and get your job back on program. Because if you don't identify the problem as soon as possible, that delay will get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Guarantee you. It always happens.
Yeah.
You don't want it's the thin end of the wedge, so you want to be able to nip it in the bud as quickly as possible.
And I think that one thing that I've noticed as well is that some you know, like you said, Bill, on, you know, if there's a little branch, you know, it's like, yeah, I can do that very quickly. You know, sometimes with these bigger things, you think, do you know what, you know, okay, I'll take that on the chin. Just let's get it done. You know, it's only going to cost us X. You know, but you look back at the times, you think, well, hang on. By the time the client come out and talked about it, by the time they rang me and said this needs to be changed, by the time I got there to have a look, you know, it's like the work before was inefficient. That, you know, it's like, well, hang on, now why are we a day or two?
Yeah.
And it's like, because it took that much out of it. So that quick, oh, do you want to just do it because they're, you know, because the cups of tea's been flying? That's, you know, it's like, sure, but it's you know, there's a few times where I've shot myself in the foot and gone, actually, that's where I should have went, no, guys, unfortunately, as much as, you know, we'd love to do everything for nothing because we love our job, you know, you can't. You can't. And it only affects, you know, at the end of the day, it affects us as a company, you know, affects the team, you know, and the client wins. Yeah. The client wins. And you're like, as much as you want a client to win, don't take the piss. You know, it's,
that's it. It's like, why should you, it's not a case of getting something for nothing. You try and help them as much as possible. And I know you've done that an awful lot with a lot of clients, Ryan. But you know, at the time, I think if you know what your trading position is on your job at any point in time.
Yeah.
So if you know whether you're on time, first of all, and also if you know that your financial position is sound on that job, so you're not losing money, you're working in line with your budget, then if someone says, can you just put this in, and you look at it and you say, well, yeah, that is a half an hour. Yeah, you can then make that decision to do it.
That's a very good point, yeah.
But if it isn't, if you're behind and you're struggling, the last thing you want to be doing is taking on lots of, can you just?
Yeah. No.
Because that will just knock the arse out of the job.
Yeah. That's it.
I know what you mean.
What are we going to do?
It's productivity. I think it's one of the biggest ways that people lose money on construction sites. I mean, I've worked on loads of those jobs, so.
And it creeps up as well. The thing is, you don't know, eh? Like that's the interesting thing. You know, you're all flying, you're all well, you're all good, and then suddenly the VAT bill, and then suddenly this, and then suddenly that, and you think, hang on a minute, where there's money that's supposed to be allocated here? Where's that gone? You know, why have we not got this? Why is this tighter than it should be? And then suddenly, you know, that, and the thing is that could be.
Then you start adding up the could you just,
and then you can,
you go, could you just
knock off? Yeah, exactly.
But if you've got those, could you just? So if they do, and you say, "Well, sorry, look, this is an extra. I've got to."
We should start a company called Could You?
Do you know what? I'm going to put it in the contract. I literally just thought that I'm going to put "Can you just" in the contract. Like, if you say this,
but it's, you could virtually put that under your variation clause to say, you know, if someone asks for a "Could you just," we'll have to treat it as a variation.
Do you know what that would be? And you get business cards made up, and then someone goes, "Oh, could you just?" I'll be like, "Oh," and you give them the "Could you just" cards.
Send the people to them. You just have a hotline that says that. Yeah. Answers the phone. Fuck off. Puts the phone down.
No, we can't.
But no,
ring this number.
I think with those things, if you pick up something up as a variation, if I was a client will want to know straight away if you're going to charge them.
Yeah.
And I think because most like construction contracts have clauses in where you've got to notify them, you know, as soon as possible, usually within about 5 days of becoming aware of something.
Yeah.
So you put that notice into the client to say, look, this has come up, this is an extra, this is a change, bloody, bloody, blah. Because the last thing, you know, a lot of people get these changes and they look at it at the end of the job and go, oh, right, here's Mr. Client, here's a load of variations we want paying for. And the client goes, well, why couldn't you have told me at the time?
Yeah.
Last thing they want is a bill at the last minute.
Yeah.
So for good management, you should be putting those variation notices in at the time, and then also
it all needs to be in writing, and then
I think the admin.
And then also, if you know on your trading position, if you know you're slightly, you know, losing money because of the variation, the amount of your variation, in theory, should cover the amount that you're losing. That's a very simplified thing, and it very rarely works like that. But that's the idea. If your job has only been disrupted due to a variation, the price of your variation should be the amount that gets you back on track.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Hey ho.
Hey ho.
Anyway.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. So, any other final thoughts on this old one, Ryan?
Any final thoughts? It's hot.
It's hot.
It's hot.
It'll be hard getting the guys working it at the moment.
Oh,
yeah,
keeping them productive.
I keep telling drink water. Keep drinking water.
I was on the tools all day yesterday. Apart from me and Charles went off and did a site visit somewhere, but
down the pub.
Site visit, and like you have to just stop and just guzzle like every hour. And I was on top of this ladder, just hedge cutting.
You drink as well.
Sorry, I don't get it.
It's fine. It's fine. Yes, you
more
do.
good
You have to
jokes,
drink.
or-
You have to drink. You have to drink lots of water. I mean, I said to the guys,
Gus.
carry water all the time.
I forgot the terminology that I used.
You have to.
What I would say is my final thoughts are. I know we kind of went off topic with the scheduling thing, really, but it all ties into it, doesn't it? I guess.
It all does.
Yeah,
mate.
it all does.
All does.
Scheduling is massively important. We know that, and I think, do you know? I honestly think that is one of the biggest learning curves for me is scheduling, and I think sometimes it's overlooked and underappreciated, and it's a skill. It's a massive skill.
I can imagine it could be more underappreciated for tree surgery and things, just because you've got smaller jobs, but you can make an awful lot more money by how you schedule your work.
I think it's important, and there's just so many lessons you learn along the way, and that's quoting and scheduling obviously go hand in hand, and you know, if you start like when I'm doing jobs now, when I'm quoting jobs, if it's a small job, before like I changed, you know, my. Until we had that conversation about how much work we can fit in, I was looking at some smaller jobs like, oh, you've got to get a whole load of people here, they've got to set up and do this, but actually, like, no, if I can get 2 people to run off alongside and join the other team back up again, that's another 500 quid plus VAT we've made there. And if you get 5 or 6 of them in a week, whatever,
however many you can,
it makes a massive difference to your plan of action. And I'm like, it's made me like the scheduling has made me change how I quote now. I think you have the big day jobs, they're quoted the same, but these little jobs, they're golden. If you can get people to go and do them alongside it, and they supplement, and also if you are having a loss on a big job, if you can get some of those in, you're kind of making up for it, and it's really helpful, and it's been a big learning curve for me as of late, and I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I certainly think, you know, scheduling programming in construction nowadays become really, really central to everything. You've got like, there's the NEC, the new engineering contract, which certainly brought in programming as a central part to any construction contract. So, and what you guys do is essentially just construction work on a smaller scale. So bringing those principles into smaller jobs, it will stand you in good stead. Deal with issues as soon as you can. Don't leave variations to the end. There we go. Top tips. Right. Thank you, everyone. So, cheers, Ryan.
See you, team.
Cheers, Billy.
Cheers, guys.
And thanks everyone for
enjoy the
listening in.
sunshine.
And hopefully we'll bring you some more guests and some more top chat, mate.
Long it out. Long it out. Top chat, boys.
On the outside crowd. See you next time. Cheers.